your company tells you to learn AI. So you do. You write faster. You summarize documents faster. You finish work that used to take an entire afternoon. But here is the uncomfortable possibility. You may become more productive and still miss the next promotion. Because companies are not preparing to pay the biggest premium to the worker who collects the most AI tools. They are preparing to pay for something harder to find. The person who can take AI into a messy, real business and make it solve an expensive problem. That shift is already creating one of the fastest growing roles in the AI economy. It is called the forward deployed engineer. Most workers will never apply for that job, but every worker should understand why companies are suddenly paying for it. Because the same signal may shape your job stability, your salary, and your next promotion. I am Alex Reed. I do not predict the future. I read the AI signals before they hit your paycheck. You may see forward deployed engineer written as FDE. The title sounds technical, but the signal behind it is simple. Companies are discovering that buying access to an AI model is not the same thing as making AI work inside a business. That gap is where a new premium is beginning to appear. LinkedIn's January 2026 labor market report gives us an important clue. Between 2023 and 2025, LinkedIn counted 1.3 million new AI-enabled jobs globally. Within that larger wave, forward deployed engineer and related product roles were still a small category, but the growth rate was striking. 42 times growth since 2023, compared with 13 times growth for AI engineers. It does not mean forward deployed engineers will suddenly become the largest occupation in America. They will not. It means the market is telling us where the bottleneck is moving. For the last few years, the AI story was mostly about building better models. Bigger models, faster models, smarter models, cheaper models. But a company does not get a return on investment because a model looks impressive in a benchmark. A company gets a return when the technology improves a real business outcome. Maybe it reduces the time required to process an insurance claim. Maybe it helps a bank employee find the right document while a client is waiting. Maybe it helps a manufacturer identify defects earlier. Maybe it helps a logistics team respond to a disruption before the cost spreads across the operation. The model is only the beginning. The difficult part begins when somebody has to make that model useful inside a company built from old software, old habits, old incentives, and old fears. Let us make this concrete. Imagine a mid-sized company that distributes medical equipment. The leadership team approves an AI pilot. On the first day, the demo looks impressive. The AI assistant can answer questions. It can draft reports. It can summarize customer notes. But then the real problems appear. The inventory system was built years ago. The sales team keeps important customer information in personal spreadsheets. Some employees do not trust the AI because they are afraid it will make a mistake. Others do not trust it because they are afraid it will make their job disappear. The company does not need another presentation about the future of AI. It needs someone who can sit with the operations manager, understand how orders actually move, connect the right data, test the system against real exceptions, train the people who will use it, and define what success looks like. That is the work behind the forward deployed model. And that is the first important reversal in the story. The new AI job boom is not only about creating new technology, it is about repairing the gap between technology and reality. A widely discussed 2025 report from MIT's Project Nanda argued that most enterprise generative AI pilots were still struggling to create measurable financial impact. You can debate the exact percentage, but the direction of the problem is difficult to ignore. Many companies have learned that buying access to an AI model is not the same thing as changing a business. OpenAI has now made that lesson visible. In May 2026, the company announced the OpenAI Deployment Company, designed to help organizations build and deploy AI systems across their most important work. OpenAI also said it had agreed to acquire Tomorrow, bringing approximately 150 experienced forward-deployed engineers and deployment specialists into the new company from day one. OpenAI is not alone. Google Cloud is hiring additional forward-deployed engineers to scale customer AI transformation. Anthropic is hiring for similar roles in its applied AI organization. When multiple major AI companies move in the same direction, the signal is larger than any single job title. The headline is about engineers. The household story is about what employers are starting to value. For a middle-class worker, the question is not, should I quit my job and become a forward-deployed engineer? For most people, the answer is no. The better question is this: what can I learn from the type of work companies are suddenly willing to pay for? The first answer is that AI tool knowledge is becoming necessary, but less rare. A year ago, knowing how to use an AI assistant could make you look unusually efficient. In the next few years, that may become normal. Your coworkers will have access to similar tools. Your competitors will have access to similar tools. Your company may build AI directly into the software you already use. When everyone has the tool alone is no longer the advantage. The advantage moves to context. Do you understand the workflow? Do you know which exceptions cause expensive mistakes? Do you know why the process works the way it does, even when it looks irrational from the outside? Can you tell the difference between a task that should be automated and a judgment that should stay with a human being? Can you measure whether the new system is actually saving time, reducing risk, improving revenue, or making the customer experience better? That is why the forward-deployed engineer is a useful signal for employees far beyond software engineering. It tells us that the next AI premium may go to people who can combine three kinds of value. First, enough technical fluency to understand what AI can and cannot do. Second, deep knowledge of a real business domain. Third, the ability to turn a vague idea into a working process that people actually adopt. And in a few minutes, I will give you a 5-step checklist for identifying one workflow in your own job that could make you more valuable in the AI economy, even if you never become an engineer. Here is the second important reversal. The people who look safest in the AI economy may not always be the people who work closest to the newest technology. They may be the people who work closest to the most expensive problems. Think about a senior payroll specialist who understands every strange exception in a company's compensation system. Think about a nurse administrator who understands where patient scheduling breaks down. Think about a claims manager who knows which cases require human judgment and which cases create avoidable delays. Think about a logistics supervisor who understands why a seemingly minor disruption becomes a large cost 3 days later. These workers may not call themselves AI experts, but if they can translate their knowledge into better systems, they can become harder to replace. That brings us to the first household ledger: job stability. For the last decade, many employees protected their careers by becoming faster at individual tasks. They wrote the report more quickly. They answered more emails. They completed more transactions. They produced more slides. AI changes the value of that strategy. If a large portion of your value comes from completing repeatable tasks, AI may reduce the scarcity of your output. That does not mean your job disappears tomorrow. It means your bargaining power can weaken gradually. A more durable position is to own a problem, not just a task. Owning a problem means you understand the full chain of work. You know where the inputs come from. You know where the exceptions appear. You understand who carries the risk when something goes wrong. You can explain what result matters to the business, and you can help redesign the process instead of simply operating one step inside it. That kind of employee becomes a bridge between the people who build the technology and the people who live with the consequences. A bridge is harder to remove than a button pusher. There is an important limit here. Domain knowledge alone is not enough. Some workers have valuable experience, but all of that experience lives inside their head. It is never documented. It is never translated into a better workflow. It is never connected to a measurable outcome. In the AI economy, hidden knowledge can protect you for a while. Transferable knowledge can move you forward. Now let us look at the second household ledger: salary and promotion. This may be where the shift becomes visible first. In many companies, the early AI training conversation focused on personal productivity. How can employees save time? How can they write faster? How can they summarize meetings? How can they automate routine work? Those are useful skills, but they are not the final destination. The promotion conversation is likely to become more demanding. Your manager may care less about whether you tried 5 AI tools and more about whether you improved a real metric. Did you shorten a process from 5 days to 2 days? Did you reduce errors? Did you help the team handle more customers without lowering quality? Did you identify a risk before the company automated the wrong step? Did the people on the front line actually use the system after the pilot ended? This is where the forward deployed model becomes economically important. Workers are learning tools. Companies are paying for outcome. Prompt literacy may become a basic workplace skill. Outcome ownership is where the wage premium can remain. OpenAI's own job listings make that premium visible. One New York forward-deployed engineer role listed compensation ranging from $162,000 to $280,000 plus equity. That is a specialized technical role. It should not be treated as a salary forecast for the average worker. But it does tell us something important about the market. Companies will pay when a worker can shorten the distance between AI potential and business value. This creates an opportunity for workers who are not engineers, but it also creates a trap. The opportunity is to become the person who understands both the tool and the business. The trap is to spend months collecting shallow AI credentials without building proof that you can solve a valuable problem. Your employer may not need another certificate saying you completed an AI course. Your employer may need a before and after result. And that leads to the third important point. The next AI skills gap may not be a shortage of people who can talk about AI. It may be a shortage of people who can carry responsibility when AI touches a real workflow. Responsibility is the part that does not fit neatly into a demo. Somebody has to decide what happens when the system is wrong. Somebody has to decide which data should be used and which data should stay restricted. Somebody has to make sure the new workflow does not create a hidden risk for customers. That is why the forward deployed model is not glamorous in the way many people imagine AI work. A lot of the work is messy. Old systems, bad data, conflicting incentives, managers who want a quick win, legal teams that need controls, frontline workers who need a reason to trust the new process. The real AI economy is not only built in research labs, it is built in the difficult middle layer between a powerful model and an organization that has to live with it every day. Now, there is a credible argument against taking this trend too far. Forward-deployed engineering is still a relatively small and technical category. Its growth does not mean the average white-collar worker is about to enter a broad new AI jobs boom. Some basic deployment work may eventually become easier as software improves and AI agents handle more routine implementation tasks. And not every company will pay for large teams of embedded specialists forever. That argument is fair. In fact, it is exactly why FDE matters as a signal, not as a career prescription. Most workers will never become forward-deployed engineers, but every worker should understand why companies are paying a premium for people who can turn AI into a working business result. Over the next 3 to 5 years, the specific job titles will change. Some companies will hire forward-deployed engineers. Others will hire AI implementation leads, automation product owners, solutions architects, operations transformation managers, industry-specific AI specialists, or internal process redesign teams. The titles matter less than the pattern. The value is moving toward people who can cross boundaries. They can speak enough technology to work with engineers. They can speak enough business to identify the outcome that matters. They can speak enough human language to earn adoption from the people whose daily work is changing. And they can stay accountable after the pilot becomes a production system. That is the middle-class opportunity hidden inside a highly technical headline. You do not need to become a programmer overnight. You do need to stop thinking of AI as a collection of tricks. Start thinking of it as a redesign of how value moves through your workplace. Here is the middle-class signal checklist. First, pick one workflow in your current job that creates measurable value. Do not start with a vague goal like, I want to use more AI. Start with a real problem, a delay, an error rate, a customer complaint, a recurring bottleneck, a repetitive process with an expensive exception. Second, map the hidden knowledge. What do experienced employees know that is not written down? Which approvals exist for a real reason? Where does judgment matter? Which mistakes would be costly or dangerous? Third, learn enough AI to evaluate possibilities, not just generate content. Ask what the tool can do reliably. Ask what data it needs. Ask where a human check belongs. Ask how the result should be measured. Fourth, build a before and after story. A small verified improvement is more valuable than a long list of tools. Show the time saved. Show the risk reduced. Show the adoption rate. Show the business outcome. Fifth, watch your employer's AI budget. Is the company still spending money on experiments and workshops, or is it moving money toward deployment, integration, process redesign, and frontline adoption? That shift can tell you where future opportunities may appear inside your own organization. The old career question was, what tasks can you do? The new career question is, what result can you help deliver when AI changes the workflow? That is the signal to watch, not another tool, not another certificate, not another prediction about the future. A real problem, a measurable result, and a stronger position inside your workplace. I am Alex Reed. I do not predict the future. I read the AI signals before they hit your paycheck. Subscribe to AI Economic Signals if you want a calm, practical guide to the changes that may affect your job, your salary, and your family's financial decisions before they become obvious. Because the most important AI story is rarely the headline, it is the household decision hiding underneath it.